'65 candy apple red vet. And he had a mustache. Remember Chuck Negro?
Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie were once one of the most fascinating and talked about couples in Hollywood. Their relationship was not just another celebrity romance that slowly faded away. It was intense, dramatic, and surrounded by mystery. When their marriage suddenly ended, many people were left confused and curious about what truly happened between them. For years, the public only saw the headlines and the unusual displays of affection that made their relationship famous. But behind all of that attention was a much deeper story that most people never understood. Billy Bob Thornton remained mostly silent about the details of their relationship for a long time. However, as the years passed, he eventually opened up about what really went wrong between him and Angelina Jolie. What he admitted later completely changed the way many people viewed their marriage, because beneath the passionate love story that the world watched was a complicated reality that no one saw coming. Before Angelina Jolie entered Billy Bob Thornton's life, his story was very different. Long before he became widely recognized in Hollywood, Billy lived a life filled with struggles, heartbreak, and uncertainty. He had talent and determination, but success did not come easily. In fact, his early life was marked by financial hardship and several failed relationships. Billy's first marriage was to a woman named Melissa Lee Gatlin in 1978. At that time, Billy was still a young man trying to find his place in the world. He was not famous yet and was still chasing his dreams of building a career in entertainment. Melissa was not a public figure, so very little information about her personal life became widely known. However, the couple had a daughter together named Amanda Brumfield. Unfortunately, their marriage did not last very long. After just 2 years, they divorced in 1980. Melissa later explained that their separation was caused by incompatibility and Billy's infidelity. Billy himself later admitted that during those early years he was not a good husband. He struggled with commitment, emotional instability, and the constant pressure of trying to succeed in Hollywood. The divorce also affected Billy's relationship with his daughter Amanda. As his career slowly began to develop, he was often absent from her life. Over time, this distance created emotional wounds that were difficult to repair. For many years, their relationship remained complicated, showing how deeply Billy's early life struggles affected his family. After his first marriage ended, Billy tried to move forward with his life and eventually married actress Toni Lawrence in 1986. At that time, Billy was still fighting to establish himself in Hollywood. He took small acting roles, worked on scripts, and constantly pushed himself to find opportunities in the industry. However, the pressure of his unstable career and financial difficulties made it difficult to maintain a stable relationship. Their marriage lasted only 2 years, and by 1988, they were divorced. Although few details were publicly shared about their breakup, many believed that Billy's relentless pursuit of success placed enormous strain on the relationship. Billy Bob Thornton's fourth marriage was to Pietra Dawn Cherniak, a former Playboy model. The couple married in 1993 and had 2 sons together named Harry James and William. From the outside, it appeared that Billy had finally found stability. He had a growing career, a family, and a seemingly settled life. However, the reality behind closed doors was much more complicated. In 1997, after 4 years of marriage, Pietra filed for divorce. The situation quickly became controversial when she accused Billy of physical and emotional abuse. She claimed that he would sometimes throw furniture, punch walls, and behave aggressively in front of their children. Billy has always denied these accusations and insisted that the situation was exaggerated. Nevertheless, the damage to his reputation had already been done. Pietra was granted full custody of their children, and the divorce became another painful chapter in Billy's personal life. This moment became a major turning point for Billy Bob Thornton. After several failed marriages and public controversies, he began to realize that his pattern of falling in love quickly and rushing into marriage was causing serious consequences. He later admitted that he carried a deep sense of regret, not only for the broken relationships, but also for the way his actions had affected his children. At this point in his life, many people believed Billy might finally slow down and rethink his choices, but life had another unexpected twist waiting for him. Because not long after this difficult period, Billy Bob Thornton would meet someone who would completely change his life, a woman whose name would soon become deeply connected with his own. Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie's relationship began in a way that no one in Hollywood expected. They first met while working on the film Pushing 10, a comedy drama about air traffic controllers. At the time, it seemed like just another movie project, but something unusual happened during filming. The connection between Billy and Angelina was immediate and powerful. People who worked on the set later described a noticeable shift whenever the two were around each other. Their chemistry was intense, almost electric, and it didn't take long before their relationship began to grow beyond simple friendship. However, their romance was complicated from the very beginning. At that time, Billy Bob Thornton was 44 years old, while Angelina Jolie was only 24. The 20-year age difference immediately caught people's attention. Billy had already lived through several marriages, personal struggles, and years of chasing success in Hollywood. Angelina, on the other hand, was a young rising star whose career was rapidly growing. Despite their differences, they felt a strong connection because both of them often described themselves as outsiders in Hollywood. They believed that people misunderstood them, and that shared feeling seemed to pull them closer together. But there was another complication that made their relationship even shocking. When Billy met Angelina, he was already engaged to actress Laura Dern. Billy and Laura had been a serious relationship and were reportedly planning their future. However, everything suddenly changed once Billy and Angelina became involved. Their romance developed very quickly and became a whirlwind relationship that moved faster than anyone expected. In May 2000, something happened that stunned Hollywood. Without any public announcement or warning, Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie secretly traveled to Las Vegas and got married. The news shocked fans, journalists, and even people close to them. What made the situation even more controversial was the way Laura Dern reportedly discovered what had happened. According to her later interview, she had left home to work on a film, and while she was away, Billy married someone else. She said she learned about the marriage the same way the rest of the world did, through the media. Laura described the experience as extremely painful and compared it to a sudden emotional loss without any explanation or closure. Despite the controversy surrounding the beginning of their marriage, Billy and Angelina appeared completely consumed by their love for each other. Their relationship quickly became one of the most talked-about romances in Hollywood. Unlike many celebrity couples who try to keep their personal lives private, Billy and Angelina seemed comfortable being completely open about their intense connection. Their public appearances often included bold displays of affection that made people both fascinated and uncomfortable at the same time. One of the most talked-about moments happened during the 2000 MTV Movie Awards. Billy and Angelina appeared together on the red carpet, holding hands and looking deeply in love. During an interview, Angelina casually shared extremely personal details about their relationship, which shocked the audience and the media. Many people felt that the couple was revealing far more about their private lives than most celebrities would ever dare to share. However, Billy and Angelina did not seem to care about the criticism. For them, their relationship was simply an honest expression of how they felt about each other. Another topic that people constantly discussed was their 20-year age difference. While Hollywood has often seen relationships between older men and younger women, Billy and Angelina's situation felt different to many observers. Billy was already a middle-aged man who had experienced multiple marriages and years of life struggles. Angelina, on the other hand, was a young actress whose fame and influence were rapidly increasing. Despite the difference in their ages and life experiences, the two seemed emotionally connected in a way that made sense only to them. Still, critics continued to question whether their relationship could truly last. Perhaps the biggest shadow hanging over their marriage was the way their relationship began. The story involving Laura Dern, Billy's former fiancée, never completely disappeared from public discussion. Many people felt that the sudden shift from Billy being engaged to Laura to secretly marrying Angelina created a scandal that followed the couple everywhere. Every time Billy and Angelina appeared in public, journalists often returned to that story, wondering if it had affected the foundation of their marriage. At the same time, the media became obsessed with analyzing every aspect of their behavior. Rumors about their personal life spread quickly through magazines, television shows, and entertainment news reports. Some stories were based on small observations or speculation rather than confirmed facts. Because Billy and Angelina rarely tried to explain or deny the rumors, the speculation continued to grow. Their silence allowed the public to imagine even more dramatic stories about their relationship. Despite all the attention, Billy and Angelina continued living their lives in their own unique way. They seemed completely absorbed in their relationship, ignoring the constant noise surrounding them. For a while, it appeared that their intense bond was strong enough to withstand any pressure. Strong enough to survive any criticism or controversy. However, beneath the surface, important changes were already beginning to take place in their lives. One of the biggest turning points came in March 2002, when Angelina Jolie adopted a baby boy from Cambodia named Maddox Cheevan. Becoming a mother had always been one of Angelina's dreams, and adopting Maddox marked the beginning of a completely new chapter in her life. Billy supported her during the adoption process and was present when Maddox joined their family. For a moment, it seemed like the couple was building something meaningful together, a family that would bring stability and happiness to their lives. But the reality behind the scenes was more complicated. While Angelina was fully embracing her new role as a mother, Billy was still adjusting to the sudden changes in their lives. He already had children from previous relationships, but this situation felt different. Angelina's life was moving toward motherhood, humanitarian work, and global travel, while Billy preferred a much quieter and simpler lifestyle. Slowly, the differences between their personal goals and lifestyles began to grow. Around the same time, people started noticing that the couple appeared together less frequently. Interviews became shorter and more cautious, and the dramatic stories that once surrounded their relationship began to fade. Instead, rumors of tension and distance started replacing the earlier excitement about their romance. In June 2002, only 2 years after their sudden Las Vegas wedding, Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie quietly separated. There were no dramatic public arguments or emotional press conferences. In fact, the separation happened so quietly that many people did not immediately realize their relationship had ended. It was not until May 2003 that their divorce was officially finalized. The sudden end of their marriage left fans with even more questions. How could a relationship that once seemed so passionate and unstoppable disappear so quickly? For years, people speculated about what might have caused the breakup. Some believed the constant media attention destroyed their relationship, while others thought their personalities were simply too different to build a lasting marriage. However, the real explanation behind their divorce was something far more personal and complicated than most people expected. And many years later, Billy Bob Thornton would finally reveal the truth about why his marriage to Angelina Jolie could not survive. For many years after Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie ended their marriage, people continued to wonder what truly caused their relationship to collapse so quickly. From the outside, their connection had appeared powerful and passionate. They looked like two people who were deeply in love and completely devoted to one another. Yet their marriage lasted only a short time. When Billy finally began speaking openly about the relationship in later interviews, he explained that the real reason behind their divorce was not a single dramatic event, but rather the deep differences in the lives they wanted to live. Billy explained that he and Angelina came from very different emotional worlds. When they married, Billy was already in his mid-40s. He had lived through multiple marriages, personal struggles, and years of trying to build a stable life. Over time, he had developed a preference for a quiet and private lifestyle. He enjoyed staying at home, writing music, watching sports, and living away from the chaos of Hollywood. Fame had never been something he actively chased, and he often felt uncomfortable with the intense attention that came with celebrity life. Angelina Jolie, however, was at a completely different stage of her life. She was young, ambitious, and filled with energy to explore the world. Her career was growing rapidly, and she was becoming one of the most talked-about actresses in the industry. But beyond acting, she also had a strong desire to travel, experience different cultures, and involve herself in humanitarian work. She wanted to visit countries around the world, support global causes, and use her influence to make a difference. This life-than-larger lifestyle excited her, but for Billy, it often felt overwhelming. Billy later admitted that he sometimes felt out of place in Angelina's world. She was admired everywhere she went and constantly surrounded by attention from fans, journalists, and industry figures. While many people might have enjoyed that level of admiration, Billy often found it uncomfortable. Instead of feeling proud or confident, he began feeling as if he did not belong in the spotlight that surrounded her. He described himself as a simple man from Arkansas who suddenly found himself married to one of the most famous and admired women in the world. Over time, this feeling of not fitting into her world began to affect him emotionally. Billy said that he often felt nervous in public situations where the attention was focused on them as a couple. Angelina thrived in environments where she could meet people, attend events, and take on new global projects. Billy, however, preferred the calm of home and the familiarity of a quieter life. These differences may have seemed small at first, but they slowly created distance between them. Another important factor in their breakup was how quickly their relationship had developed. Their romance had begun suddenly during filming, and everything that followed happened very fast. Billy ended a previous engagement, married Angelina quickly in Las Vegas, and almost immediately entered a high-profile relationship that attracted worldwide attention. They never had time to gradually adjust to life together. Instead, they jumped directly into a marriage that was constantly under public scrutiny. The situation became even more complicated when Angelina adopted Maddox in 2002. Becoming a mother was something Angelina had deeply wanted, and she embraced that responsibility with complete dedication. For her, it represented a new chapter of life, filled with purpose and love. Billy supported her decision, but internally he struggled with how quickly everything was changing. The responsibilities of family life, combined with their already intense public relationship, created additional pressure that he was not fully prepared to handle. Gradually, the differences between them became impossible to ignore. Angelina's life was expanding outward toward global travel, humanitarian missions, and motherhood. Billy's life was moving inward toward privacy, music, and a peaceful routine. Neither of them was wrong in the path they wanted to follow, but those paths were simply moving in different directions. Billy later explained their situation in a very simple way. He said that their lifestyles were fundamentally different. Angelina had what he called a global lifestyle, constantly moving from one country to another and embracing the excitement of a fast-paced life. Billy described his own lifestyle as almost the opposite: quiet, private, and comfortable, staying away from large public gatherings. Because of this difference, maintaining a marriage between them became extremely difficult. In the end, their separation was not filled with anger or betrayal. Instead, it was more like a gradual realization that their lives were heading in different directions. They had loved each other intensely, but love alone was not enough to bridge the gap between the lives they wanted to live. And so, after only a few years together, they quietly decided to go their separate ways. Yet even after their marriage ended, their story did not end with bitterness. In fact, what Billy later said about Angelina years after their divorce surprised many people and revealed a much more respectful and thoughtful side of their relationship. Time has a unique way of revealing truths that weren't immediately clear in the moment, and for Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie, it revealed the quiet reality behind one of Hollywood's most talked-about marriages. While their relationship began with whirlwind passion and public fascination, the years that followed their separation allowed both of them to reflect on what had happened, why it ended, and how it shaped their future choices. Billy, in particular, has been remarkably open about his perspective, showing a maturity that contrasts sharply with the drama and chaos that surrounded their relationship at the time. He often emphasizes that their breakup was not born out of betrayal, scandal, or anger, but rather from the natural divergence of two individuals whose paths in life were moving in different directions. Billy has described his life as one that thrives on quiet, introspective moments. He enjoys music, reading, writing, and observing life from a place of calm. Fame, for him, was always secondary to personal peace. Angelina, on the other hand, was and continues to be a force of nature. Her energy is limitless, her ambitions global, and her focus consistently outward toward humanitarian work, travel, and artistic challenges. While their personalities complemented each other in many ways, they were drawn to the intensity, the unpredictability, the passion in each other. They also created a gap that widened over time. Billy often felt like a man from a simpler world trying to navigate a whirlwind lifestyle that demanded constant engagement, attention, and travel. It wasn't that he didn't love Angelina deeply. Rather, the life she led and the responsibilities she embraced so fully sometimes made him feel overwhelmed. The adoption of Maddox in 2002 was a turning point that highlighted these differences. For Angelina, becoming a mother fulfilled a lifelong dream and added a profound sense of purpose to her life. Billy supported her, genuinely cared for Maddox, and wanted to be present, but he wasn't entirely prepared for the emotional and practical changes that came with parenting again, especially under the intense public spotlight. Suddenly, their marriage required more adjustment, more energy, and more engagement than Billy was naturally inclined to provide. The responsibilities of family life, coupled with the pressures of their high-profile careers, contributed to a gradual drifting apart, rather than a sudden explosive conflict. Billy has admitted that he often felt out of place in the world that surrounded Angelina. Public appearances, red carpets, interviews, and constant scrutiny weren't just uncomfortable, they made him question whether he could truly belong in a life that was so different from the one he had built for himself. Angelina's world was vast, filled with experiences and expectations that he didn't feel equipped to match. Over time, this feeling of not fitting in began to influence his emotional availability. He became quieter, more withdrawn, and less willing to engage in the public-facing parts of their relationship, even as his love for her remained strong. The pace of their relationship also played a critical role. Their connection began quickly, intensely, and publicly, leaving very little room for the natural development and adjustment that most couples need. Billy left an engagement, married Angelina in Las Vegas, and immediately became part of a relationship that was constantly dissected by media outlets worldwide. Every personal decision, every private moment was analyzed, criticized, was sensationalized. While some couples thrive under public scrutiny, Billy and Angelina found it challenging to maintain intimacy amid such relentless observation. The pressure of living under the constant gaze of the public added strain to a relationship that was already balancing two very different personalities and lifestyles. Despite these challenges, both Billy and Angelina have always maintained that there was no ill will between them after the divorce. Billy has spoken about Angelina with respect and affection, acknowledging her strength, intelligence, and generosity. He has emphasized that their separation was a matter of circumstance and lifestyle compatibility, not character flaws or mistakes. In interviews, he often describes the marriage as a significant period in his life that taught him valuable lessons about love, partnership, and understanding personal limits. Angelina, too, has reflected on their time together with a similar tone of respect. While the media often focused on their eccentricities, the blood vial necklaces, the explosive public displays of affection, and the suddenness of their marriage, the reality behind their bond was a complex mix of genuine connection, emotional intensity, and mutual admiration. Over time, both of them came to recognize that love alone isn't always enough to sustain a relationship if the individuals involved are pursuing different life paths. After their divorce, both Billy and Angelina continued to evolve in ways that reflected their core personalities. Angelina's life shifted toward activism, humanitarian work, and raising her growing family, which now includes 6 children. She has embraced motherhood fully and continues to pursue artistic projects that challenge and expand her horizons. Billy, in contrast, sought the quiet stability he had long valued. He eventually met Connie England, who shared his desire for a private, low-key life. Their relationship flourished, eventually leading to marriage in 2014 and provided the calm, nurturing environment Billy had been seeking for years. Together, Billy and Connie built a life that was grounded in simplicity, creativity, and family, highlighting how aligning lifestyles and values is critical to long-term compatibility. Billy's experience with Angelina remains a defining chapter in his personal and emotional history. He has often shared that while the marriage did not last, it was not a failure. Instead, it was a period of intense learning and growth. He continues to carry a deep respect for Angelina and an acknowledgement of the love they shared. Their story serves as a reminder that even the most passionate relationships can end not because of betrayal or incompatibility in character, but because two people's visions of life, growth, and fulfillment may simply diverge. Ultimately, the marriage between Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie is remembered as one of Hollywood's most intense, controversial, and fascinating romances. It was a relationship marked by passion, eccentricity, and public scrutiny, but also by genuine love, mutual respect, and emotional honesty. The lesson from their story extends beyond celebrity gossip. Love can be powerful, transformative, and inspiring, but compatibility, timing, and a shared vision for the future are equally important. Even decades later, both Billy and Angelina speak about each other with kindness, reflecting a maturity and understanding that adds a quiet dignity to what was once the most sensational romance in Hollywood. Their relationship may have ended, but the memory of it, intense, unpredictable, and deeply human, continues to resonate, reminding us all that love is complex, beautiful, and sometimes fleeting, yet it always leaves an imprint on the heart. Even years after their separation, the story of Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie continues to captivate those who look beyond the headlines. While their marriage was brief, its impact on both their lives was profound, shaping how they approached love, family, and personal growth in the years that followed. Billy has often reflected that the relationship taught him lessons about self-awareness, boundaries, and the importance of aligning lifestyles in a partnership. He learned that love, no matter how intense, cannot sustain itself if two people are moving in different directions. Meanwhile, Angelina continued to embrace her unique path with courage and purpose, demonstrating that personal ambition and compassion can coexist even after heartbreak. Part of what makes their story so memorable is the respect and admiration that remains between them. Billy speaks of Angelina not with bitterness, but with genuine fondness, acknowledging her intelligence, strength, and ability to make a difference in the world. Angelina, likewise, has occasionally noted the significance of their time together, highlighting that their connection, though short-lived, was meaningful and real. Their narrative illustrates that sometimes the end of a relationship does not diminish the value of what was shared. Instead, it becomes a chapter that informs future choices, maturity, and understanding. In hindsight, their marriage can be seen as a meeting of two powerful personalities at a moment when their individual paths were not yet aligned. The love was intense, passionate, and public, yet the differences in age, lifestyle, and personal priorities eventually made it impossible to sustain. Their story reminds us that love is not just about chemistry or attraction, it is also about timing, mutual growth, and compatibility in life goals. Though their romance ended, the lessons and memories remain, leaving a lasting impression on both their lives and the public imagination. Today, both have moved forward with dignity and grace. Billy enjoys a peaceful life with his wife Connie Angland and continues to pursue music, acting, and family life in a calm and grounded environment. Angelina has expanded her role as a mother, actress, and activist, shaping a life filled with purpose and adventure. Their brief marriage, intense as it was, ultimately became a catalyst for growth, teaching both that love is complex, evolving, and sometimes requires letting go for the sake of individual fulfillment. In this way, the story of Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie stands as a testament not only to passionate love, but also to maturity, understanding, and the acceptance that sometimes two people can love deeply and still choose separate paths.